IVF is not a guarantee. Globally, success rates are between 30 to 40%. Your peak reproductive health happens in your 20s. Does it mean a woman in her 40s cannot get pregnant? Of course not. 1 in 5 women struggling with PCOS.
1 in 5. So it's almost like an epidemic.
Correct. And therefore, you address the diet or the stress.
And that is not done in mainstream medical care?
No. Fertility, there is research to show that 30-40% of losses come because of the male factor. It is the one category where research is not allowed globally.
I did not know that. Explain.
I'll explain, but sadly, it's just human biases, and I've seen it often, unfortunately, happening even with doctors. They will often tell you it's to do with the woman.
How should healthcare be marketed?
For a country like India, the trick is
I am so grateful to have on my show Sharda Agarwal, the co-founder of the healthcare platform Sipalika. Sipalika is a platform for natural healing for fertility issues of women. So tell me what Sipalika means.
Sipalika is the Sri Lankan name for the Parijat flower.
Ah, okay.
So it's also called Harshringar or the night jasmine.
Ah,
So it's that a flower with an orange stem and white petals with an orange center.
yeah.
And the reason why we picked that name is because of what that flower does. So the Parijat flower has antiviral properties. It's got healing properties. And our whole concept at Sipalika is there is so much healing power in nature that we should be using more of it to our benefit.
I see.
So that's the inspiration behind the name Sipalika.
Are there others in the market who follow a similar methodology of healing?
Oh, yes. Today, the whole branch of healing that we follow, it's called functional medicine.
Okay.
And functional medicine was started about more than 2 decades ago in the US by mainstream allopathic doctors who said, listen, trying to treat symptoms is not addressing a health issue at its core. And so therefore they said, let's all get to the root of that symptom or why someone is facing, for example, so diabetes, let's say. The symptom is elevated blood sugar, which shows up in a lab report. But why is that sugar high? The reason can be different for you and me, even though we may have the same number on our lab report.
And it's not to do with how much sugar you are eating.
Could be partly the fact that, dietarily, let's say somebody's having more carbs. But it could be, for example, for me, it could be just coming from chronic stress, which will raise levels of cortisol and therefore insulin in my body.
Okay.
So the solution for me is not to cut my sugar down because maybe I'm just not, eating that kind of sugar, but is to address that, bring that stress down and therefore bring down my sugar levels. So this is functional medicine, which says, let's get to the root cause of why a person is unwell or why they're showing certain symptoms. And when you get to the root cause, address that root cause. And the first mode of treatment is always nutrition, both macro as well as micro. So macronutrients like carbs, fat, protein, fiber, or micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, lifestyle, which of course today all of us know.
Yes.
But we don't understand that when we mess up with our lifestyle through late sleeping, stress, it has certain biochemical reactions in the body. So it's not just woo-woo science.
Did anybody say that?
Lots of
Woo-woo
people.
science?
I've had, especially when I've had friends, kids who will tell me, Sharda auntie, what is the thing that you're putting on your hand? It looks like very woo-woo. So yeah, and that's functional medicine. So using nutrition, lifestyle, and giving back the body nutrients that it's missing to function normally.
So from diabetes, you move to PCOD?
I've always been interested in women's health from the time I started working on sanitary napkins.
We are going to talk about that.
Yeah. And therefore, women's health was our, was what we wanted to do. And PCOS at that time was beginning to increase. So 1 in 5 women were struggling with some various symptoms of PCOS.
1 in 5?
1 in 5.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
Ah.
And
So it's almost like an epidemic.
Correct. And we said, again, PCOS, the first line of treatment usually was a contraceptive pill or a hormone pill. We said was very often unnecessary. You just had to get back to the same thing that I explained before. that get back to the root cause of why is a woman facing symptoms of PCOS. PCOS, by the way, has about 30 odd symptoms, but there are a few which are more common than the rest, irregular periods being one of them.
Right.
So get to why she's not able to generate a period month after month, because that's a part of natural human
And what
biology.
are the chief causes?
So why is the lady having irregular periods? Okay. Is it coming from too many male hormones? Why does she have too many male hormones? Is that coming from too much of, let's say, insulin that the body is producing the body? Why is the body producing so much insulin? Is it coming from an excessively carb-led diet? Or is it coming from a stress response? And therefore, you address the diet, or you address the excess carbohydrates or the stress to address the top level symptom of irregular periods. So you just go down through a series of whys till you're able to go no further. That usually is your root cause, and you treat that.
So total fishbone analysis of the problem.
Correct. So we started off as a PCOS
And
clinic.
that is not done in mainstream medical care?
No. So mainstream medical care, which is allopathic medicine, and that's
Mhm.
what you're taught in medical school, is to say that PCOS usually comes because of an imbalance of hormones.
Mhm.
And therefore, to allopathy always says treat the symptoms. So if a lady presents herself to a gynecologist with irregular periods, the gynecologist figures out through her own testing, of course, that what hormones is she missing? Estrogen? Is she missing progesterone? Is there too much testosterone, which is a male hormone? And depending on where the issue lies, she will either give a combination pill of estrogen and progesterone, or she may give one or the other. And therefore, she's addressing the symptom, which I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but already not addressing the root cause. And in our experience at our clinic, we've seen that very often when women stop the pill, the problems come back. The periods go back to an irregular cycle.
Mhm.
That is how mainstream addresses it.
So it's a symptomatic
It
treatment.
is a symptomatic treatment.
Okay. How successful was that? PCOS, your pivot to PCOS?
Our result was outstanding.
Okay.
I remember 80% plus women, we managed to give them regular cycles. So when I say regular, it means anywhere between 28 to 35 days.
Hey,
And
that's
many of
amazing.
them came to us, with 40-day cycles, 60-day cycles. Everybody, almost everyone saw better sleep, better energy, better moods. There was weight loss. There was body hair, which is often an issue. That always takes longer, but they saw that too over time. But we were operating on a small clinic, and we were operating as an online clinic. And this is pre-COVID. So the concept of an online clinic itself was such an alien feature. But we saw fantastic results, including women getting pregnant on our PCOS program.
Superb. So how did you convert that into a business opportunity, or did you?
So what we realized as we were going along in the PCOS, we've always positioned ourselves as a premier clinic. So obviously our pricing has been premium because we do work by hand. We use technology as support, but to us, every individual who comes is treated individually. We go into her case in depth and address it very uniquely, and therefore it's very personalized. Even though, let's say, you and I are the same age, showing similar PCOS symptoms, similar weight profile, I may figure out that you may have some thyroid imbalance. Whereas for me, it may be an insulin being the issue. So then we get two different kinds of treatment, right? What we also saw, two things which made us pivot to the fertility clinic that we are today. One is a lot of competition. Apps were coming up at a fraction of the price that we were doing because the category was growing. There was an awareness that PCOS is going to be a big business in India. And therefore, we saw a lot of players coming in at much cheaper prices. The second is one of our early PCOS clients got pregnant. She had been told by her doctor, fix your PCOS, only then will you get pregnant. So she came to us for PCOS, ended up getting pregnant. And we saw this for a few clients until we said, hey, that's when it struck us. The same underlying mechanism that is preventing you from getting a period is what is also giving you your pregnancy, right?
Affecting fertility.
It's the same ovary, uterus, estrogen, progesterone, right? So we said, why don't we get into fertility? Because again, you're seeing fertility issues rising in India. And it is a category that is difficult. So we said, let's take up the challenge. And we also thought that we could set greater barriers for entry in fertility compared to PCOS. Because fertility is a very tough category. It's bloody tough.
Very
because
complicated.
it's complicated and it's just binary result. Either you're pregnant or you're not pregnant. It's not, oh, my weight is improved, coming down. Oh, my cholesterol is coming down. Oh, I can see improvement in my BP. So that you can see a movement in the right direction. Infertility, no. If she doesn't have a baby, she thinks you're a failure.
0-1.
And if she has a baby, then, she's of course bringing garlands to you. So it is a tough category to operate in. Very tough. And also it is the one category where research is not allowed globally.
Tell me more about that.
For ethical reasons. You are not allowed to take a human embryo in a lab, collect, let's say, a bunch of embryos and run, experiments and tests. Unlike any condition, including cancer, where you take cancer cells, you figure out what's happening, you try and develop newer molecules to address specific types of cancer, you can do that. With human embryos, you cannot do it anywhere in the world. Okay? Which means that everybody is dependent upon what fertility clinics, doctors, IVF clinics, the results that they are giving. So the last advancement in fertility happened with IVF, which happened in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Since then, yes, you now have AI, for example, which is able to grade embryos, and you're bringing that kind of technology. But otherwise, there's just been no progress in fertility research because you can't do it.
What about egg freezing?
You can freeze the egg.
Okay.
But that's because somebody has chosen not to have a child at this particular point in time or get pregnant. So she said, freeze the egg and I will use it later. But you can't play around with it. That's hers.
It's a fertilizable egg.
It's almost like putting it in a safe deposit.
Yeah.
And then it's locked and you can't touch it till the client or the patient herself wants to use it.
Sure.
So that's the complexity of fertility as a category.
And have you been able to crack it?
I will not claim that. Where I think we have been able to crack, and that's something, we're really proud of, is that despite being a non-allopathic clinic, yes, we do have an OBGYN on our board, but we don't do any, mainstream IVF, IUI, or any assisted reproductive technique. We have been able to help a lot of couples who have failed with other treatments, whether it's, IUI or IVF, come to us. We've been able to figure out what is likely causing that failure, why they've not been able to conceive, and we will have helped them get pregnant.
Using this fishbone analysis that you spoke
Absolutely.
of earlier.
Fishbone and what we call as a whole body analysis.
Okay.
So I always, in many of my Instagram posts, I'll often say, fertility begins in the brain. And then, people say, oh, what are you saying, right? Yeah. Because for everyone, fertility is at the southern end of the human body. Whereas I will say it's at the northern end. And it's literally a north to south approach.
Explain that.
The brain produces signals in two parts of your brain called the hypothalamus and the pituitary, which send a signal to the body to produce two fertility hormones called LH and FSH, luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone. So that first signal begins in the brain. So there's a signal or a connection between your brain and your ovary and your uterus. So there is that, it's called the HPG, hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis.
Yeah.
So there is that connect that's happening. And if there is any signal interruption or the signal is weak or non-existent, then the action will not happen in the ovary and the uterus. So what happens in the northern part, it literally starts there, and literally every body part going down has a role to play because it's simple. Think about it. All our body's got multiple organs. They're all sitting inside our body. We somehow love today going to a specialist because I want to go to a cardiologist. The moment, my tummy hurts, let me go to a gastroenterologist. We want to go gastro. Who's a gastro? Don't go to a GP. That poor GP concept is just dying.
Disappearing.
Whereas if you ask me, a GP is a treasure because he or she knows so much about not just yourself, about your family history, about, your own health history, that they're able to join the dots and give you connections with a specialist will not be able to do.
I agree.
So the approach here is to say all organs in the body are interconnected and they depend upon one another to function. So if there is an issue, yes, the actual final action happens in the ovary, the uterus, or the male reproductive organs, which are lying the southernmost part. But they depend upon simple thing. They depend upon your gut or your intestines to deliver food, which comes in your nutrition. So if there's something wrong with your intestines, you're not processing what you're eating properly, how will appropriate nutrition and therefore cellular development in the ovary uterus happen. Or if the food itself you're eating is not, let's say, is missing certain vital nutrients, you're not feeding it. So like that, every organ, the liver, for example, liver, we all know is a detox organ, including the job of the liver is to remove excess hormones from a woman's body. So estrogen that's produced, excessive stuff, it comes out, it's processed by the liver first, and it's sent out through your pee and your poop. So let's say, for example, you're not pooping every day. Your bowels are not clearing every day. Or let's say your liver is sluggish. Excess estrogen doesn't go out.
Right.
And it has the ability to get reabsorbed by your system.
Right.
Which in turn can upset the estrogen balance with progesterone, with testosterone. So you can see that as a symptom, but you may not figure the problem is coming from the liver. But hey, if you're a gynecologist, the gynecologist may not be looking at your liver.
Yes.
So that's the difference, the whole body approach.
Yeah.
Or north to south.
In fact, there's an observation that women, especially in our country, even in the upper middle class segment, probably don't get the kind of nutrition that they should be getting, the rounded nutrition that they should be getting, because that concept doesn't exist. So it's a lot of education also involved.
Absolutely. Or we're getting that nutrition, but I have seen, so many of our clients have been, working women who are like putting in on a routine basis, 14, 15-hour work days.
Okay.
So imagine the amount of vitamins. You're just burning up all the fuel internally. Now you have to know that you need to replenish it at that rate. So I personally talk to all people who call us at Sapalaka.
Okay.
And I tell them, think of two people, two women who are 30 years old. One is trying to run the marathon. The other one is not. Can you say they both, it's enough for them to both to eat similarly, to have the same kind of lab numbers in a blood test, whether it's vitamins or whether it's cholesterol? No, right? The one who's trying to train for a marathon needs to be at a far better state of health because she's burning up while she's training and when she's going to be running. Same way, baby making is a very energy intensive process in the body. So even though as an upper income woman living in cities like a Mumbai or a Bangalore, you may be eating fantastic food, you may be counting your calories, you may be knowing your macros, you must know that you're placing far greater demands because of your, let's say, your career, your lifestyle, and the fact that you're trying to make a baby at the same time, which is an energy intensive process. So you're like equivalent to burning candles at both ends. So you need to replenish those nutrients at a far greater and a better pace than what you would otherwise intuitively think.
So let me ask you something linked to making a baby, which is, what role does the man play in all this?
I say it's 50-50.
Okay.
Even, and I give this standard example, women face repeated pregnancy losses in the first trimester. Which is why, if you remember, Purane Zamane mein, people never used to tell everyone, declare their pregnancy
even
now, right?
Even now.
Till your first trimester was over.
Yeah.
I remember I thought, that's like, old wives' tale, you're just being superstitious. No, it is because the first trimester is the most critical.
Right.
And majority of pregnancy losses happen at that time. And guess what? Repeated losses, there is research to show 40 to 50% is because of the male factor.
I did not know that. Explain. Now this is interesting. Explain.
I'll explain. But sadly, it's just human biases. And I've seen it often, unfortunately, happening even with doctors. They will often tell you it's to do with the woman. So what happens? So the egg and the sperm meet in the fallopian tube of a woman's body. And they meet, they fertilize. And that fertilized egg travels to the uterus, down into the uterus, implants itself on the wall of the uterus as an embryo, and that embryo grows to become a fetus. The fetus will grow, 9 months later, you have the baby. So when you say fertilized egg, it is not an egg, it is fertilized by the sperm. So it's egg and sperm.
True.
So it is a combination of the two. And therefore, when there is a pregnancy loss, miscarriage, if there's an issue, you have to examine both the raw materials.
I see. Now it makes sense.
Right? But because of social biases, we tend to ignore the men. I admit that women have a greater role to play, the woman's body. She's the one, her uterus is the one that's nurturing it.
Right.
But to ignore the male factor is huge travesty to that couple.
Okay.
Men are often not tested. Otherwise, they're incompletely tested.
Okay.
So there are two levels of male testing. So you do a basic sperm or a semen analysis, and then you do an advanced test called a DNA test for the sperm, which is possible in sperm. Now, very often the issue is lying with the DNA, not with the basic test. The basic test is a physical test. Through a microscope, you're able to see, is the shape of the sperm correct? Is it swimming correctly? Is the head in the right place? Is the tail in the right place? But if it may be perfectly all right outwardly, there could be internal issues, which can only come with an advanced test. Now, very often that is not tested because you just assume it's coming because of, woman's issue in repeated pregnancy losses. So there is research to show that 30-40% of losses come because of the male factor. So I tell my clients, my program is for a couple. Okay. I do give them the choice, but I vociferously say, listen, if both of you don't work, and if you keep trying and it doesn't work, remember, it could be that the man has an issue. So I actively, in all communication, in the content that we put out, in the education that we do, and on our programs, it's a couples program.
And how do men react when you tell them this?
So most of the people I speak to are women. As always, it's the woman who's taking the initiative.
Yes.
But there are a few gentlemen who do take the initiative, who've been following you on Instagram. They say, you know what, I've been following you for more than a year. And I've read your content and I understand your philosophy.
I want to meet all these people.
All these, yeah.
I absolutely want to meet.
Handful, you will tell me, yeah. So they accept, okay? But I still see a lot of women who will come on the call. Even yesterday, I did a consult. They paid up for a couple, not for an individual. So I asked this lady, is your husband joining us? And this is the lady who was based out of Seattle. She said, he's at work, he'll join us. I knew then and there he's not coming on board. Although when they finally sign up for our program, we have 70% of them as couples. In the early stages, 80% or 90% is just women who are either calling me to find out more about the program or who are doing an exploratory consult with us.
That's just sad.
Yeah. And there are women who say, and there are a lot of women who've told me, listen, I can understand what you're saying. I know you're talking biology to me. You're not giving me your opinion. But my husband is just not going to accept it. And in some cases, it's sad that there are families who will not accept that the problem is with the man.
Many cases.
मेरे बेटे को कैसे हो सकता है?
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
But early stages, I used to get very bitter and upset. Yeah. And I said, no, my job is to just go repeatedly educate. And guess what? Some of my best performing content on Instagram happens to be the male fertility ones. I also realized that
I'm sure women must be showing it to their husbands and saying, look, an expert is talking about this.
And also, if you look at content, if you just do research of content on fertility handles on social media, again, majority of it is skewed towards women content. So I feel some of it is chicken and egg. So if you put out more male oriented content, you will get men to engage with you more. At least I'm being optimistic at this stage.
Yeah, and why not?
Yeah.
One has to look forward.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest challenge? Apart from this one challenge.
One word, acquisition. Because the concept that we're trying to create is, I still believe, is a little advanced for India. We're not there yet. Okay. It happens, it's more acceptable, this concept of saying work on your entire body.
I want to interrupt you because I found it a little ironic that you said it's advanced, where actually we are going back to our roots in analyzing this. But now we think of it as, advanced.
Wrong statement. Yeah, I know. So the line I use is, I always tell people who come onto the call with me, I say, listen, nature has meant for all of us to have children. This is law of nature. It has nothing to do with anything else. Nature's interested in human race procreating and, back to Charles Darwin's survival of the fittest. It's all that. And therefore, we're meant to have children. So when we cannot, for whatever reason, the first step will be to investigate why. Get to the why before saying, listen, let me go and do IVF. Or let me, take some gynecological treatment or medical treatment. And I am not saying there's anything wrong. There are, people who do require medical intervention. So let's not, I will never throw the baby out with the bathwater and never, poo-poo mainstream medicine. So, for example, let's say there are couples who come with structural issues. Both tubes of the woman are blocked.
Okay.
There is no place for the egg and sperm to meet. So you have to go for medical intervention. Or let's say she has, I'm just saying an extreme case of ovarian cancer. You will need interventions, right?
Mm.
Or let's say she is deciding now to have a baby when she's 41, 42, for various reasons, has decided to, get married much later in life or have children later. Then again, back to nature, what we were 10,000 years ago from an evolutionary and an internal biology perspective, right? It is now that longevity in India, for example, is in, when we're in our 70s.
70s,
right?
yeah.
In fact, it was in the early 70s, we were in our 40s.
Yeah.
So see how rapidly science, medical advancement, better hygiene, better control of infectious diseases, better food, access to better quality food has made us live longer, right? But that doesn't mean that you can, bypass what is there, has been there for thousands of years.
Basic biology.
Basic biology. And the basic biology is, however unpopular, this is science, is your peak reproductive health happens in your 20s, in your late 20s, mid to late 20s, okay? In your 30s, there is a sharp drop. And in your 40s, it's almost like falling off a cliff. Does it mean a woman in her 40s cannot get pregnant? Of course not. We see this. But what happens is that we're all enamored by, we will read about one celebrity, one Priyanka Chopra there, one Hollywood actress, one influencer, but that does not make for numbers, right? And I'm not even saying that, a woman cannot get married, but we must always be aware this is the law of nature. So there is a certain biological decline, ovarian, especially more in both men and women.
Okay.
But the rate of decline is faster in women compared to men.
Okay.
And that's why we talk about ovarian reserve, which is what is the reserve of eggs that she has. That keeps dramatically falling once you cross your 30s.
Circling back to your biggest challenge being acquisition.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going back to saying that, what am I saying? I'm saying you're meant to have children. So let's figure out why you're not able to have. And very often it's just that your body's missing certain nutrients. Like I said, maybe it's just missing fiber. Maybe it is missing certain vitamins. Maybe your thyroid hormone is not getting produced in adequate quantities. Maybe there is a certain gut imbalance, gut dysbiosis, which is not ensuring adequate nutrition gets passed on to the ovary or the uterus, right? Now, many of these, or sleep and stress, which will trigger or can trigger hormone imbalances. Many of these are fixable. And they're within your control. When I say your, I mean it's the man and the woman. You will need people like us to guide you because we've just been studying this, this is our daily bread and butter. So we're just deeper going into this. But you can do it yourself. You can do it with guidance. But I'm saying don't, use a bazooka to kill a mosquito. So when the problem at its early stages, you can address it. And that's where we come in. Now, that concept that, listen, this can be easily fixed. It's your whole body that's involved. You need to make the body feel safe to produce another human being, is not something that people want to accept. We always want, very, very scientific, complex explanations for everything. So the moment,
symptomatic.
Yeah.
Or easy symptomatic.
Symptomatic. Or, if I tell you, take an injection, you feel, wow, I'm doing something really, deep for my body.
Yeah.
Or have this pill whose name you cannot pronounce.
Yeah.
Whose, generic name of that drug you cannot pronounce. Fantastic. I'm going for egg retrieval. My FSH number is this. My LH number is that. Women feel, wow, doctor's in control. I'm in control. I'm really doing something.
Rather than being told,
correct.
Okay,
now, when I tell them, you know what, you need to fix your liver, your thyroid, your gut, your microbiome. And I'm saying, they're telling me, really? I'll eat better and I'll do all of this and I'm going to get a baby. Not that I'm guaranteeing that. Of course not. But also know that IVF is not a guarantee.
Yeah.
Globally, success rates are between 30 to 40%. But somehow it just seems more technical and scientific. And therefore result-oriented. Of course, it's a fantastic system and it is the most advanced. But I'm saying don't use that as your first option. So the acquisition challenge for me is the fact that this concept that your whole body needs to be in a state to be able to help you conceive. And very often, for whatever reasons, whether it's lifestyle-led, whether it's for other reasons, the body may be in a suboptimal state. And that can prevent conception from happening even after you've tried medical interventions like an IUI or IVF. You can fix this and get pregnant is a very hard sell.
I mean, I went to a nutritionist and, something like I wanted to lose weight. I don't know why. But she spoke to me about stress and she spoke to me about gut health. And I'm thinking, I came to you for diet changes, not for gut health, not for stress, but that's all she focused on.
Yeah.
And then I read up on my own and understood why she's leading me in that direction. But upfront, I would say I was skeptical.
Yeah.
About why am I paying someone to tell me that I need to reduce my stress.
Correct.
So, but subsequently, my attitude has changed.
Yeah.
Towards health.
Absolutely. It's like, weight loss program, the question that as a client, I want to know is how many kilos will I lose in a month?
Yeah.
In a fertility clinic, when will the baby happen? When will I get pregnant?
Yeah.
But these are not answers and I tell them, it's not just me. Nobody, even a doctor will not be able to tell you when you can get pregnant, right?
And there's no guarantees in IVF.
In anything, yeah. Everybody tries their best.
Yeah.
Your IVF doctor does it, so do we.
Yeah. Now, coming to your marketing background, first, let me ask you about something to do with marketing and healthcare. How should healthcare be marketed? Should it be educational? Should it be emotional? What should be the tenor for healthcare marketing?
For a country like India, given the level of knowledge of healthcare, I would still say it needs to be educational. Okay. Quasi-educational. I understand there are certain marketing compulsions. There are budgetary compulsions. There may be various other limitations. But I feel that if we want to, what is healthcare trying to do? You're trying to bring about a behavioral change. Now, when you say healthcare, I'm assuming this is more not about popping in medicines.
No.
But even if it's about, let's say, I want you to do regular annual health checkup. That is still behavioral change. So behavioral change will require you to convince people. Now, to what depths that you go to may vary. You will have to do it as a combination of both left brain as well as right brain approaches. Sometimes you will appeal at an emotional level. Sometimes you may go into more technical aspects. So I feel healthcare marketing is about behavior change, and behavior change will require a lot of education. But the trick is we all are slaves to the 30-second reel and a social media algorithm.
Yeah.
It's not those days of television. My early career, we used to make, films for 40 seconds and a minute, and you had no choice because you were watching, forget the Doordarshan, you were watching Star TV, everybody was glued to Star TV or Z or whatever it is, right? Today, it's the algorithm which is going to decide whether you're going to be seen or not.
Sure.
We're all viewing most content on a little mobile phone compared to large television screen. So those formats and the media available will dictate how you communicate, but I still believe that it will require education.
And is that happening or no?
It is. Companies are doing it. I mean, let's just take the example of gut health. Now, today, we all are seeing,
That's
probiotic, buzzword is probiotic,
yes.
right? One of the earliest guys who came into India was this brand called Yakult, which brought a yogurt. We didn't know what it was, but the format was a familiar format. It was like sweetened dahi. So you had it. And now, of course, since then, probiotics have progressed. Everybody knows it's got something to do with the gut and intestine and digestion, good bacteria, bad bacteria. That's the level of knowledge large majority of India is at. But that itself is education, right? So that sort of forces a lot of us to go back to, thinking a little deeper about the world of gut and probiotics.
Today, ashwagandha is
everyone has it
everywhere.
No, it's all self-prescribed. See, that's the other issue today. That people, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, billions and billions of dollars in the US. And in India now, you can see you open Amazon, you type in, let's say, vitamin B12, you will get at least 500 options.
Oh, wow.
And,
whether you need it or
whether you need it or not. And because now a lot of these are VC funded, many of these supplement companies, they do fantastic advertising, which are so convincing. So now everyone is on supplements. Now we also tend to sometimes go to the other extreme. So that's the philosophy that we have at Sepalika, which is that don't blindly supplement. Everything which has a good side will also have a not so good side to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Too much of
a good thing.
And sometimes it's not needed at all. So why waste your money?
Yeah.
Not all of us need a vitamin.
So in India, of course, things are changing, but what's our overall approach to health and nutrition?
If I look at the general, I'm not talking about people like you and me, right? We
No,
are a
let's
lot
not.
more discerning.
Yeah,
right?
let's not.
We Indians love food and we are emotionally connected with food. Food is what we put into our body 5 times a day. And when it's including your morning chai and biscuit is still food, right? And it's very hard to change food habits in our culture because we have a very deep history of food.
Yeah.
Going
It's culture.
dating back.
Food is culture.
Hundreds and thousands.
Yeah.
As culture for us, right?
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of countries which don't have that depth food culture, which is why America is far more open to food than we are. Think about how long it took for Maggie to make an inroad with that, 2-minute noodle into the Indian market, right?
Okay.
So because of that connection with food, we also go wrong because as a country, we have been more carb-led. Rice or roti form the center of our plate, unlike a lot of Western cultures where it's meat that forms the center of our plate.
Yeah.
Now, not that there's anything wrong in carbohydrates. I always tell this to people, right?
There
People always tell me, but my grandmother ate rice and roti. Why are you telling me no?
News
I said,
to
yeah,
me.
but your grandmother never, went in lifts. She never, it's like you get out of your house, go down, take a lift, go down to your car, or get into a metro or a cab. You would then go to your office, another lift to go into your office. Then you're sitting at your desk for 8 hours. And did your grandmother do that?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. People walked. People took the stairs, right? People kept moving. Nobody sat at a desk. Nobody sat in front of a phone like this with the neck craned. We didn't do that. No, you can't discount one part of that life and only take what you want. You can't cherry pick.
Yeah.
Therefore, there is a huge role for if you look at healthcare and how we mainstream, we're probably grazing. You're still at the top. We're sort of, we're seeing media bring us this information about, oh no, you shouldn't be eating so many carbs. You need to eat more protein. Right now everybody's seeing the protein.
Protein,
right?
yes.
But fundamentally, we are, it's a long way to go, which is also the reason why we are slowly inching past China or as the obesity capital, diabetes capital. Yeah, they're all metabolic issues. And a lot of it is lying, yes, we'll talk about genetics, but a lot of it is also very food-led. And as a society, we are far more sedentary than a lot of races.
I mean, our cities don't let us move
also. Our cities don't let us move. One is that, but also internal motivation is very low because we're just not used to moving like that.
Yeah.
I remember in COVID, people said, I know people who just went up and down their apartment staircases in cities like in Bombay or Bangalore because you weren't allowed to step out. But that's one way of moving. Yeah. How many people will take the staircase?
Yeah.
How many of us take the staircase?
Yeah. I'm going to come to your J&J days now because that's where it all started, right?
Yeah.
No, even before that, you're a marketing professional. How did you end up starting a healthcare startup?
So like most startups, this always lies in a personal story. Usually it happens to be a personal pain point, which in my case was a chronic migraine that I experienced for almost 10 years. 16 hours a day, 2 weeks in a month, I was out with pain. So I used to go to bed with pain and wake up with pain.
Oh.
And I had been to headache specialists, orthopedists, neurologists, even my good old GP, tried all kinds of drugs, various combinations and permutations. Nothing seemed to work for me until a common friend, introduced me to my current co-founder, Mahesh Jayaraman, who was practicing alternate medicine. So he used, at that point in time, the first thing he did was to make me do some blood tests, which back in 2013, I'm not talking about today, back then it was not common to do blood tests so easily.
For a headache? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, right? He made me test and he said there is research to show there are some people whose migraine gets triggered by low levels of vitamins like B12 and D3. And therefore he got me to have those at certain therapeutic dosages which are based on evidence that he had read. And he also worked with me through a system of medicine called acupressure. So we all know the pressing certain points, which is traditional Indian and Chinese system of medicine. Whereas he used a magnet-based acupressure.
Okay.
So these are baby magnets, half the size of a shirt button, which you taped onto certain points at night, corresponding to certain energy meridians, took them off in the morning. So combination of vitamins and acupressure over 4 months helped me with my migraine what 10 years of medication didn't.
That's like magic.
it felt
That's
magical.
that
I cannot even tell you.
must
it
have
was
given you a
literally
new life.
life-changing.
Yeah, sounds
Life-changing.
like it. And the J&J, the whole menstrual health space, women's hygiene space, was it very female oriented, or was it? I mean, were there a lot of women in that space? Because at
In
that
the
time, I
company.
remember marketing companies were usually men.
Mostly, right?
Yeah.
And I remember we had, at one point in time, we had an all-male team for sanitary napkins. In my business, when I was
Imagine.
there, I remember going to my sales conferences where we had to talk about new products, and we were talking about tampons. And I also had to explain what's the difference between a sanitary napkin and a tampon to a room full of men. And you had to do some kind of a demo for them to understand, because ultimately they are the guys who are going to go and sell onwards to sell it to your distributors and to retail outlets to stock it.
Sure.
I didn't feel anything embarrassing. I just, maybe it's because I started my career in a company where it was predominantly male.
It didn't feel awkward at all to
It didn't feel awkward, and I completely attribute it to a wonderful, very small but very, very supportive marketing team. My bosses and my colleagues, senior colleagues at that point, were fantastic as support systems. So, and I think Johnson & Johnson's organization was a brilliant culture back then. Even though they didn't, women were not so familiar by their presence, they were still very, very open.
While you were working there, you had your child, right?
Yes, that's right.
And who was looking after her?
My mother. So big support system. So I used to, and remember, this was a time when maternity leave was just 3 months. And 3 months means on day 1 of month 4, you are back in office, right? And at that time, we didn't speak up like the way we are able to speak up today, because I believe today social media has empowered us as well, right? So at that time, you knew that 3 months was up, and I didn't think twice. And I was really lucky that my parents lived fairly close to where I was, between my home and my place of work. So I would drop my daughter off every morning from month 4. I would go back because I was still feeding her. Lunch breaks, I would go back home to feed her. Sometimes eat my lunch in the car and then get back to work. So I did, and of course, super supportive spouse as well. So for me, running, the home, managing the work as well as bringing up a child was very, very manageable, and I would say very, it was seamlessly done.
So you were lucky.
I was really lucky. I always say that. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of women would have.
It's not easy.
And were your team members supportive of your, difficulty at that time?
Yes. So absolutely supportive. But I was also one of those people who said, no. How can I take leave? I'm supposed to be in the office. I
think most women are like that.
Yeah. I still remember now, I had to miss both my daughter's first birthday and her second birthday because there was some conference, there were some regional meetings, which I could not avoid.
I think a lot of women even today would. It depends on the atmosphere in office also.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
What is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and who is considered a professional.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. You went to Coke, so which is a whole different ballgame.
Hugely different. Very, very, very different. From a company that was a market leader in everything, sanitary napkins, baby products, Band-Aid.
Yeah.
You went into literally a 2-player market where cutthroat competition, crazy levels of aggression in marketing, huge amount of spends. And, at that time, all advertising was all about the cola wars, right?
Yeah.
This was in the early 2000s and the late 90s. So it was a very, very different world for me to go into.
And did that, it sounds like a very, also a very macho kind of world.
The culture was also very macho because literally the company that got there, got into the Kirana store with their crates first, they got share because, a lot of consumption of soft drinks is often led only by, at the fundamental level, the products are not very different. And very often you just want something cold to drink.
I would disagree because I am a huge Coke fan.
Coke, yeah. So then our goal as brand companies, what did we do? Our goal was to, at that time, and even now, is to, establish a certain personality for the brand or to create a persona.
Yes.
So that we would help people identify with it, because at a product level, Of course, they've always, Coke and Pepsi have done the sweetness test, but at a product level, you were not, you were fairly indifferent, right?
Yeah.
So our whole work was in the area of creating that persona for the brand, and therefore the spending of monies, getting celebrities, and all of that. It was a company where there were multiple brands in a single category of soft drinks or carbonated beverages. Whereas I came from a company where we operate across multiple and diverse product categories. So that was also a big difference.
So do you think about brand personality for Sepalika? What is it?
I do. When I started Sepalika, that was a thinking hat on. So we said that even though we were talking about chronic health conditions, I said we will never use the word disease.
Sure.
So don't say it chronic disease. Talk about it as a chronic health condition. So
and
we
what's
always,
the difference?
It's just the mindset. I don't want to tell somebody you are diseased, you have a disease. I want to tell someone you have a certain health condition. That sounds a lot more neutral, and it sounds a lot, it sort of empowers the person, because the word disease is very negative. You almost feel that, you're going to be defeated by it. Whereas I always wanted Sepalika to, even though we were in healthcare, to be empowering. To say literally healthcare in your hands, and there is so much that you can do. And that's why when we started Sepalika as a content site, we said, let's just put all the information out there. So we wanted it to be empowering. We wanted, and I've always wanted to be, and still is, evidence-based. Okay. The only difference being that when I say evidence-based, I may not have double-blind, randomized controlled trials like the way pharma companies who do clinical studies and, will, because it's just not possible to do it in the area of nutrition and vitamins, because they're not patentable. So who's going to spend millions and billions of dollars doing it? Because you can't make money out of it, right? But you will look at, there is evidence, you will have meta-analysis, which puts together multiple smaller studies and gives you an overall conclusions. So I said it would be positive, it would be empowering, it would be evidence-based to the extent possible. Okay. So, and therefore the tone was also that more upbeat. So I don't say, oh my God, you're not able to get pregnant. Oh, that's not it. It is to say, how do you get pregnant? How do I improve your overall health?
Any mistakes that you now think you could have reworked?
Oh yeah. First, right at the beginning, right? Not realizing that what it takes to monetize or make a business out of a content platform. Not realizing that. Not realizing that offline marketing, which is the world of television and print that I came from, is like chalk and cheese with online marketing of SEO. I was learning the basics and the ropes of keywords, SEO, Google algorithms, and then onto Facebook and Instagram now. It's a hugely different world. Initially believing that emotional, you remember in old school marketing, you always said don't position yourself on a functional platform because everybody else can copy you. Send out an emotional proposition, because that will help you stand out uniquely in the consumer's mind. But in today's world of 30-second as stamp size images that you will see on Google Ads or Google search, what emotion are you going to be telling, right? So a lot of what I fundamentally believed in building brands and marketing it didn't, sort of backfired. It didn't work well. And I had to literally relearn the ropes of how to market to this world. It was a bit of a shocker to me, because remember, I started this when I was in my 40s. So, no spring chicken, the youth and the energy of somebody in your 20s starting a business.
And does having a technical background help in building an online service?
Absolutely. So that's the other thing, right? The fact that the two founders neither of us came with a tech background.
Okay.
We came together because of the belief that chronic illnesses can be addressed. People, you can just empower people. Women, not just put themselves below on the totem pole when it comes to their own selves, right? It's always the family, the children, then comes their career, their own personal health at that bottom of the totem pole. She will always find reasons to be able to not go to a doctor or to a nutritionist, to go to a yoga center or whatever it is, right? So I said, I will come to you. You will have no excuse. You say that there's traffic, I can't wait in your clinic. It is, I will come to you. That's why I always kept it, we started as, consulting on audio calls and then moved to video. and email and WhatsApp. So that is something that I've always believed in, to try and make it as convenient for them as possible. But all this means technology.
Yes.
Right? And we didn't have that. We didn't have any of the founders coming from that tech background, which is another big lesson for me.
Well, thanks for this chat. Thanks a lot. I mean, there's so many things I learned today in this conversation that I never knew about. And, now I'm going to have to process them all. So thanks for giving us so much new information. All the best with Sipalika.
I had a lovely chat. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Hello and namaste. I hope you've been watching these conversations that I have brought to you with some very remarkable women in our country. The conversations, as you know, are about anything and everything that matters to a woman, and then, of course, by corollary, to society. If you are enjoying these conversations, do please like, share, subscribe, so that others in your circle can also enjoy them. Thank you. Keep watching.